Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. There must be something wrong. I guess I felt. Since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. There must be something wrong. I guess I found out. Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. There must be something wrong.
Hello everyone, welcome to Ankara, a city of around 5 million inhabitants and the capital of Turkey. I'm Ted Barden. Mark Hanratty will be joining us from his studio in Nottingham. Now up next is the pairs short program. This is the third out of 4 weeks for the pairs on the Junior Grand Prix, and the points are ever so precious. The favorites coming into this competition have to be Desrochers and Thrasher of Canada. They have 13 points with their silver medal already on the Junior Grand Prix, followed by Flores and Wang of the United States. They have 11, and Shimizu and Honda of Japan have 9 points. 13 teams from 9 nations. Pair short program begins right now. Welcome back, everyone, to the beautiful, mystic, ancient, and yet new country of Turkey. It's really quite a remarkable contrast from the beautiful new buildings as you see in the distance here, the hundreds of apartment buildings, the cleanliness of the highways, the efficiency of the society here. It's just quite amazing as we see a church or mosque right at the other end of the arena here. Wow, pretty special. I'm Ted Barton along with Mark Hanratty joining us from Nottingham. And Mark, up next is the pairs short program, pardon me. We'll have Kirsten Moore-Towers who will join us for the final 2 groups. That'll be interesting, talking to a very experienced world and Olympic competitor, female skater in pairs, about what they think and what they feel and how they have to think during the pair event as we take a look at the starting order for this group. Mark?
Yeah, I cannot wait to hear from Kirsten and just to hear how she navigated a career in pairs. I think 14 years of competitive pair skating, and so that a real testament to good training and healthy training, and just really interested to know her process, her thought process, especially having just discovered that she did indeed do 1 Junior Grand Prix.
Oh, that's good. As we take a look at the officials for this event, we thank them for all their time. And yeah, I've worked with Kirsten in broadcasting Canada for a while now, and I've watched her. She coaches in our province and at competitions with us, with our teams. And what I love about her is her honesty, because she believes that sometimes she may not know things as she's coaching, but she knows them all. And she cares so much about the kids. At the same time, she has to be the coach. And so I see tears in her eyes at times when her students have skated to the level of expectation or even beyond, or even less than that. And she's part mom, part coach. She just has it all. And she knows how hard you have to work to get to where you want to get to. So understanding all those things and feeling all those things makes her such a wonderful coach and leader. And she works with Jacob Kreidemann also at the Canucks Skating Club in Vancouver, and they do such a wonderful job. They've started from the bottom up, not from the top down. So it's so nice to see them creating a school. And many of the pair coaches around the world are doing that, and we'll see them here on the Junior Grand Prix as well.
Well, interesting to hear of a former Olympian and one of the world's best to then want to start from the complete beginning. I think there are many coaches that probably share that sentiment. I personally would love to see what it'd be like to challenge myself to start with complete beginners and then see if you can take them to world class. But obviously that as a process is much lengthier than those. There are others who could turn professional and start coaching who can amass students that are already much more experienced at an early stage.
Well, it's a lifetime job, really, in many ways.
Yeah.
The lifetime of that athlete, because you may have them for 10, 15 years, and although that's not your full lifetime, that is a big chunk of theirs, and so and yours as well. So it's an interesting job for sure. We'll talk to her a little bit about crossing the board, jumping from the ice to the rubber mat, and what that's like, and how that's changed her life. And she's just newly married and has a very bright future in everything that she does. I think she'll be bring wonderful perspectives. Whoa, nice throw, triple Salchow there. Wonderful perspectives to our broadcast. So looking forward to that. Yeah, any questions, Mark? First of all, I do have a question here. Sorry, I'm going to jump in.
Oh,
we have a question.
yeah, you got the questions. Go on.
Yeah, I had a question that come into my JGP account, email account, on the death spiral. Let's see, where is this? To push and dance. What makes a death spiral so difficult? I rarely see the women fail to hold their posture, but often, especially in juniors, the men stand up after only one revolution. So what makes it so difficult is the two go in on curves, and they want to have a little bit of different curves, so there's tension between their arms, so their arms come together with a handhold, and you want pressure pulling away, so the girls is pulling away from the man, because that comes pressure, and as he pivots his pick into the ice, that pressure's got to be enough to be able to swing to move the woman around as many rotations around the man as possible as he keeps the pivot. If there's no pressure, if there's no centrifugal force pulling the partners away, then everything will collapse down into the ice and you won't even get one revolution. So that is one of the most difficult things. It's called the death spiral. I'm not exactly sure why. It's not death-defying, but the woman's head is close to the ice and the edges are there. We've seen some falls, but it is a wonderful move, and there is the back outside, back inside, forward outside, forward inside. The most difficult is the forward outside death spiral. You don't often see that. We saw that actually in Ostrava, I think, maybe Ostrava or Riga.
Yep.
We saw forward outside death spiral.
Chinese team, yeah.
Yes, and it was really well done. It can not look so good sometimes, but they did a really nice job of carving out a wonderful figure on that very difficult death spiral. So hopefully that's a little bit of the answer on the death spiral. What do you got, Mark?
Well, I suppose in regards to the death spiral, it's an interesting one. I remember watching, I think it was the 1998 Olympics, and the Olympic champions that year, Oksana Kazakova and Artur Dmitriev, they were struggling with the back outside death spiral, and Artur Dmitriev had already won an Olympic title at this point, and yet they still were struggling with the back outside edge of the death spiral. So that just serves to reaffirm how difficult that element is for these junior teams, because it's mandatory for the back outside edge.
And it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like, well, why is that difficult? It's not like you're throwing the woman across the ice. But when you watch the entry, and we're going to take some replays on this. So good question, and I'm going to replay that. We're going to take a look at the curves. Here it is right here. You can see it on there right now. Man's pivot goes in there, and you can see how the woman starts to come closer to the man. You want that to be as long a process as you can, so you can get around more revolutions. So there's a variety of different ways of explaining it, and Kirsten might be listening to this going, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
She'll have her own explanation.
Come on, guys.
But I used to be a pair skater as well, so I know from the man's perspective what I had to feel. And that tension, you can see those arms in between the two. Yeah, that was nice. Good tension.
Oh, that's great.
And it's just coming in. Okay, nice. Nicely done. There you go. Okay, what are we talking about?
In the first two events, a lot of the death spirals didn't get called because the ladies, I think because the ladies' position wasn't low enough, the head wasn't lower than the knee. But
that's true. The lady's head has to be lower than the knee, of the man. Okay, you ready, Mark?
Sure, I'm excited to introduce this next team onto the ice. We've seen them compete already in Ostrava. One of the youngest pair teams on the circuit, Laura Heckova and Alex Valky, representing Slovakia. They've traveled here with other teams from Bergamo in their training base, and excited to perform again on their second Junior Grand Prix.
That was fun.
That was fun, and I think this team have done nothing but really represent themselves brilliantly on the Junior Grand Prix. They're a couple who have given so much at their tender age. Previously, before relocating, they travelled over 1,000 kilometres every week for training. They would often get up at 3 in the morning, which wasn't unusual for them, to train in several rinks all over Slovakia and the Czech Republic. In August, they relocated to Bergamo, to the centre of excellence there, to ease the challenge of finding the relevant training in their home nations, and we're seeing the product of that.
And we can see the twist here, double twist in at level 3. So this is a very well-matched team. There's the double axles. Physically they are, and they skate with joy. Here's this hand-to-hand lift. Look at turning turning clockwise, stopping that rotation, goes to the hand on hips, platter, and has to go the other direction. That is not easy, but that was well done. Level 4 with a plus GOE. Back outside death bar, there it is. Let me slow that down. You can see the pressure between the body, both bodies. That head, is it getting lower than the knee? Is it getting down there? It's pretty close. That is in at a back outside death bar base level, so it's not getting level 1, but it got the base. And some of the steps here, Mark?
Yeah, and I think what we so appreciate in this team is that you see the joy. They do look very free. They have a kind of youthful innocence about their movement. I love that little wally hop within the choreography by Gabriela Hrashka. And they will be training alongside so many of the world's top teams in their training location in Bergamo, and I'm sure that will be a huge inspiration. And because they're so young, they're so impressionable, and really maximizing, I'm sure, that experience.
It's amazing, 13 and 15 years of age, and there's Luca De Mattei in the kiss and cry with them, and what a great job he's done. The number of years in Bergamo, 44.81 for Laura and Alex, first team out, and they look pretty happy with that. Nice team, and lots of improvement will come, has been already so far in this season, and much more to come throughout the season.
And now to the team who were 5th in Riga, Latvia 2 weeks ago at their first Junior Grand Prix of the season. Louise Ehrhard and Matti Pellegris skating to the Conchita Wurst track, Rise Like a Phoenix. Louise Ehrhard and Matti Pellegris. Louise turned 20 just at the start of this month. Both of them studying and balancing their academics. And this, although technically may not have been as strong as they had in their first performance on the Junior Grand Prix in Riga, this was a good example of a program that has had more mileage since we last saw its outing. Timing was better, their unison together, better too.
And you see the difference in this team and the first team, 13 and 15 years of age. So you're seeing a variety of different stages of development. This is much stronger physically a team at the moment. And there's some really nice elements here. The triple twist at the beginning of the program was taken a look at and was upgraded from a level 1 originally to a level 3. There's a little bit of a split. Catch the difficult steps coming in, so I'm not sure what other features they gave them there. And here's the double axles. This was a bit problematic as Matthias over rotates and has to step out of that. Here's the throw triple salchow. This was lovely, right on top. Free touches down just a little bit on the landing. And there's that group 4 hand-to-hand lift. So difficult in a level 4 with just a little bit of a plus GOE, adding some scores to the quality for the quality. Here's the back outside disc spiral. Difficult entry, and then here's the pressure. Watch this left foot anchor the ice right there. So on that side, all the way around, that will be 1 revolution. Her head is lower than his knee. That's good. And going down even lower now, and gets around to 2. And in fact, they get a level 3 out of this because of the difficult entry. And they get a level 3 back outside desk power. Nicely done. There you go, Mark. You sleeping or what? What's going on there?
I was just trying to. I was just looking back at the results from Riga and just trying to make the comparison. And it's interesting for the teams. Like levels have gone up in some elements, different levels in others. Actually, levels up across all of their elements from their performance in Riga, but also for me, components would have been better as well. Just the program looks so much more together and cohesive.
There you go.
So all in all, we should be heading towards a bigger
improvement. 46.28 is their season's best, and they have a 50.42 with a little for Louise. There's it. That's the season's best, and that'll put them in first place. Well done. As you said, it all sort of kept coming together on their second Junior Grand Prix here. Very solid. Just that double axle. Will get fixed up next time out, I'm sure.
And now to a team who are new to the Junior Grand Prix this year, representing Great Britain, Zara Wood and Alex Labsky. They were frustrated with free skate performance in Ostrava, hoping to deliver a great short program to sing, sing, sing. Well, knowing how frustrated they were after the pre-skate in Ostrava, that perhaps makes sense of the jubilation for Zara Wood and Alex Labsky, who complete their short program.
I'm impressed by Zara. That throw triple salcho, first of all, was huge. Second of all, started just near the end to kilt her off a little bit, but she stayed with it, kept the body core straight, and pushed that free leg back. And she just was determined to nail that landing, and she did. So, wow, that was impressive. We take a look at some of the elements in the program. Get the double twist in at a level 1. Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
I was just going to say, from a temperament perspective, as we see them do the double axels, I mentioned it on the first Junior Grand Prix, Alex competed in the ice dance event just 2 seasons ago, so still so new to this discipline, and that's what you can see. There's an element of hesitancy, of course, and understandably, but I think from a temperament perspective, they make a wonderful match. Alex is such a performer, as is Zara, and she's so like her mother in being hardy and resilient.
And watch this. She's on a tilt, but she gets the free leg up and out so quickly. And she's so happy and proud of just nailing that. Back outside Despero, this is a bit more problematic. Watch her collapse in towards him because there's no pressure, and he's having to lift that arm up to try to keep her in that Despero position, and doesn't really get there, doesn't get the head below the knee, and that's okay, early stages of development.
But they actually get no value for the Despero, so the score is going to be, and it wasn't vastly different, but the technical panel here not deeming that anything callable, as Chris Boyaji, stepfather and coach to Zara, joins them and sending lots of love back to all those that support them. There's a big team that support them in Swindon.
Well, Zara has lots of personality, doesn't she? Yeah, good team. There you go. Really nice kids. Got to speak to them last Junior Grand Prix. And
Mom. Oh, that was cool. I think that was spelling Mom.
Oh, nice.
Zoe.
Oh, he's got to get that M together there. There it is.
Mom.
He's got it. Finally.
That's what I'm guessing it is. I don't know. I could be wrong.
No, it was. It was good. I didn't see it, but until you pointed it out.
So, like I said, the lack of death spiral is going to make them perhaps a little deflated to see the score not cross the 40-point marker.
Yeah, they got to know that, but they'll take a look at that at the report card. 37.22, that's third in the short program, and you can see Zara go, ugh. But I think once they take a look at the report card, they'll say, we got to get something out of that death spiral.
Oh, good on them.
Yeah, good for them.
Like that.
Okay, that ends the first group. That's fast.
Wow, that was
I like
speedy.
having three in the group. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It goes quickly.
3 to go. So we have got a host of questions that have come in online. Thank you to those that have sent in questions to the International Skating Union's social media page on Instagram. And one of the questions from Ice Skate Lexi is, what do the skaters do in the gap between their warm-up and their performance?
That's a really, really good question. We have talked about that in the past, but not recently. So, it can be a long wait. Now, not so much in pairs because there's just 3 in the group or 4 in the group, but that is very difficult because, when you get in juniors, you don't really not spend a lot of time in practicing waiting for 40 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. Do you take your skates off? Do you take your jacket off? Do you go for a walk? Do you just listen to music? What do you do? And so the coaches will work with the skaters to design and choreograph to a certain degree the routine that happens when you skate first, second, third, fourth, whatever it is in the women and the men, fifth and sixth. So, quite often, because if the boots are on too long, the feet might go to sleep, and so there's a whole variety of different scenarios that they have to prepare for. So some of them sit down, some of them go for a walk. Coaches will take a look and just watch them all the time to see how they're doing emotionally and what they're working on. So every skater is a little bit different. The coach will have worked with them on how they spend their time between the warm-up and the skate.
And the next question coming in, which is pertinent at the moment, but the question is, can a skater switch countries within their career? Asking as a skater with triple nationality, which is interesting. You're very, very lucky to have 3 passports. Wow.
Yeah, no kidding. Sure that's legal? But anyways, go ahead.
I mean, for me, Ted, obviously that many skaters will switch their nation dependent upon what passports they have available to them, and we've seen other skaters that have, notoriously switched nation representation when they're already successful athletes, and sometimes that's because they come from such a strong skating nation that their chance to represent or to compete at an IC championship event is so limited. And so the pinnacle for most skaters' career, the goal for many would be to compete at an ISU championship. And if you come from a skating nation where there is such an abundance of top skaters above you, and it's unlikely that within a timeline of your career you might ever achieve that, that makes sense then if you have a passport to another nation that you would choose that.
Yeah,
what I think is...
Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, go for it.
No, you go.
I was just going to mention that it's almost more pertinent in the pairs than the ice dance because it's such a niche discipline to meet somebody who has the same goals as you, has a similar age to you, and who's pursuing elite ice skating. The pool of people in your discipline with those requirements who might be the right height match for you is very small, and so that's why we see a huge number of the world's best ice dancers and pair skaters. One part of the team will be representing a nation that they're not originally from, and I completely comprehend and understand that, and it was something that my partner was American. The only challenge then for a lot of these athletes is whether or not they'd be able to achieve the residency status in the passport, because the greatest goal for most is to compete in the Olympic Games. And sadly, my partner didn't have a British passport.
Yeah, and that's from a personal perspective, and well said and documented there. From a federation perspective, you run programs and talent ID, and you invest in seminars, and you invest in coaching, and then you invest in the skaters as they're coming up, and then so you've invested in the development of a skater who may very well end up to go, no, I'm going to represent another country. That's a little bit frustrating at times if the skater has already achieved international success and a medal, that you're losing that potential. So there is a process where you have to sit out, or get the authority, or get the permission from your home federation to switch countries. So, but in my opinion, and I work for a federation within our provincial organizations, we work with children to start with, and then we work with young adults, and they have dreams, and who are we to stand in their way? And so you might get used or feel that way because you've spent resources to develop that athlete, but in the end of the day, as you just said, it's the journey of that skater, and what role does everyone play in that? So it's a difficult question, interesting question with lots of complications.
Yeah. And actually, on that point about the switching, there are, I was going to say legalities, that's not the right word, there's some rules in which a skater can't switch nation from one season to the other. They have to have a 12-month period of time whereby they do not represent their former skating nation before. So hypothetically, if I was skating for Great Britain at this Junior Grand Prix 12 months ago exactly, I wouldn't be allowed to represent a different nation till 12 months and 1 day after.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so they're firing in some good questions.
Yeah, and there's more, so we've got goods to come, although we've got Kirsten Moore-Towers in the next warm-up, so
yeah, exactly.
We've got plenty of chat.
Are all the questions pair-related, or no?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. What do you think about coaches being judges and controllers?
I don't know the coaches are judges. I'm not sure where that happens.
No, the coach can be an ISU tech spec. I wonder if that's the thing they're alluding to.
So technical specialists, no problem. And I think the coaches are good technical specialists. I think that they have an eye for it because they live it every day. And if you're going to pick that, if you're going to understand what that element is and how well it was done and the level of difficulty, then best really a lot about that element. If you see it every day, you see skating every day, you're going to have a better insight than someone who maybe sees it periodically. So I'm very strong supporter of that. And there's a team of three, so no one's going to make the decision. Here we go.
So opening this group, the American Junior champions, second at the World Junior Championships, Olivia Flores and Luke Wang. They were third in Riga, so they have 11 points. They'll be hoping to take the title here. Olivia Flores and Luke Wang sharing a hug. A team that this year come in with a whole host of different expectations. They were so exciting to watch last year when they bounced onto the Junior Grand Prix, winning silver at both of their assignments. This year they struggled a little bit in Riga, but this a return to form.
I got to give a shout out to Luke, and what a great job both Olivia and Luke did in this program. And Luke has an element of performance in this pair discipline that you don't normally see. It's a technical program. It's a technical discipline, not a lot of time for performance, but Luke brings it, as does Olivia, and they really reach whatever choreography they have in it, they do it to the fullest. So that was really nice. And we saw some beautiful double axles as we see the twist here, triple twist, that is in at a level 3. So getting 3 out of those 4 features is not easy. They did a nice job. Here's throw triple Salchow. Across the ice, hand goes down for Olivia. That'll be a -1 at least. The GOE, so losing a little bit of points to the quality. There's the group 4 lift. This was a little bit rough on turns, hitting the toe picks periodically. You can see the snow flying there, so this lost a little bit of momentum across the ice. Still a good lift in at a... Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Well, it's interesting, actually. They changed the planned program content, so they put the lift earlier in the program than that they had it in their first Junior Grand Prix, which, given that you said that it didn't look as comfortable as it perhaps could be, suggests maybe that's an element that they knew they needed to get done at an earlier point within the program. So great to see that analysis of what they need, see event upon event, as Olympic champion Natalia Mishkutinuk joins them.
Yeah, the backhats desperate at the end of the program. It came in at a level 1, so that's good. Yeah, but what stands out for me, obviously the technical elements are good, but the level of performance is a little bit higher than you normally get in junior pairs, and that was well done. Let's take a look at the score. Season's best, 54.93. They look pretty happy with that as they take over first place, at least at this stage of the competition.
And now to the Spanish representatives, Claudia Sinclair Scotti and Noah Quesada Grau. Another team that trains in Bergamo, who will skate to Now We Are Free from Gladiator. This team oozes such passionate expression as Manolo waves the Spanish flag. For Claudia, Sinclair, Scotti, and Noah Quesada, Grau. I love the intensity that they have in performance, which isn't always seen as readily in the pairs discipline.
No, and this is a team technically that is in early stages of development. You see the doubles as opposed to the triples, and the dust bar started to collapse in, so I'm not being critical, just analytical. So you'll see the weakness technically, but you see the strengths when it comes to performance. So once they get more experience and gain more confidence, a little bit more strength, you'll see the technical aspect of their program start to increase. That was nice. Here's the double twist. That's in a level 3, so nicely done. Nice little exit in here, and not exit, but little move. There's the double flips. And throw double Salchow. You can see just a little bit easier elements at this stage. They'll get it more difficult. The group 4 lift goes up nicely. Beautiful position of her on the split there. Change of position, change of hold, grabs the blade. That's in a level 4 of difficulty with a GOE plus of 0.77. Now this death bar, you can see she's coming at him really close. That is in at no value. So another one that just didn't get any of the requirements.
And the communication for the ISU just says, if during the death bar the lowest part of the woman's head never reaches the level of her skating knee, the death bar will have no value. And that's happening again and again, just cementing the difficulty of the element. And
yeah.
Sorry, Ted, I was just going to say in defense of Claudia and Noah, I've seen them do the throw triple style on Instagram really well, but they must be tactically realizing it's not worth the risk. Yeah, for them at this stage in the short program.
Yeah, exactly, and that's strategy and choice for sure. And that death bar, again, if they don't have enough pull between them, then she'll collapse in very quickly. You could feel that just starting to die a little bit. And so in order to get that head down with balance, and of course Kirsten will talk in much more detail about this than I would, then you really need to have that pressure and that time on the circle to get yourself down in there below the knee. But you know, that's just a stage, and it's a hard element. It really is. Until you learn it. Short program score 40.18. That's the season's best for Claudia and Noah, and that'll put them currently into 4th place. And there is a final team in group number 2, Mark.
And the very experienced and successful single skaters, Sei Shimizu and Lucas Tsuyoshi Honda, representing Japan, both so comfortable in regards to their own independent skating skill. And now they continue to try and amass more confidence with the pairs elements. Shimizu and Tsuyoshi Honda representing Japan. They just move so beautifully together and share a nice hug. Obviously, as I said before the start of the performance, they are so accomplished and so classy. They're both really beautiful skaters in their own right, and the music for this short program, a perfect fit for the team. Great to see them go for the throw triple salcho. They did double salcho when they competed in Ostrava, but you can see evidently that their pairs element comfort is that which is developing and in need of continued development.
What a team of coaches. Hamada, Bruno Marcotte, Brian Shales, and Kathy Reed. Boy, that's a team. This team has a great future. It'll just take time. You can see how good skaters they are. They're still in their development of some of the pair elements. We'll see that here. Here's the double twist. That is in at a level 3. So good. You know, they just went for the double. Here is the throw triple salchow. This is not so much a throw as kind of let go and let her do her triple salchow. That's the stage of development. That's okay. That's where they're at now. That'll increase as the time goes on. There's the double axles. And he doesn't touch down, so that was good fight. A little far apart. And here's the group 4 lift. This goes up nicely. Nice position. Head up high for say. Change of position. Hand on hip. Let go. This is the level 4. Group 4 lift. So that was nicely done. That's getting better. And that's a plus GOE as well. And here's some of the moves in the step sequence here. It's pretty cool.
Good. He recovered well there.
Yeah. Made it choreography.
Showing his experience.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Ted, because quite often we will see accomplished women from the singles skating discipline transfer to the pairs discipline. I'm not sure how often I've heard of such experienced male singles transfers. We look at this back outside death spiral, and I don't think her head was ever low enough.
Yeah, they didn't get they didn't get it called, so that's still under construction, that element, and that takes some time to learn, that's for sure.
And again, we can look forward to hearing from Kirsten, but the requirements for the female part of the team transferring from singles to pairs so different from that of the male, and I assume that with Tsuyoshi Honda he will just be increasing his confidence and maybe having the courage to throw a woman. That's scary.
Yeah, exactly. The score is season's best, 48.04, so they look pretty happy with that score. Nicely done. As we're still in the kiss and cries, we take a look at the standings after the first 2 groups. And coming up soon will be Kirsten Moore-Towers joining us for our broadcast as we take a look at the standings after 6 teams. As we're waiting for Kirsten to join us, Mark, did you ever entertain doing pairs? Or did you just say, no, I like the music, I'm doing dance?
It was really interesting because I could triple jump, so theoretically I had the side-by-side stuff, I was decent at spinning, so theoretically that would have made sense. And trying to remind myself why I didn't consider pairs, I think I'm from a skating nation which doesn't or hasn't had huge success in pairs, and there aren't as many coaches, so that might have been part of the reason. But also to think from a temperament perspective, I think I would have just been perpetually anxious about the women. I don't think I would have had, I think I've had too much worry about protecting a partner to actually help them. I think I'm too supportive a partner in a way that's not good, if that makes sense.
Wait, no. Okay, you're too supportive of the partner? What does that mean?
I think that even when I was doing ice dance, I was meant to take lead and the partner would follow, but I would always be so submissive that I would be like, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? And then I would actually be detrimental to the team because I'd almost let them lead.
I got it. I got to ask you to get me more coffees or something. You're submissive, so like, can you feed me? Okay, listen, we have Kirsten Moore-Towers now online. Kirsten, welcome to the broadcast. I'm bringing you in audio-wise. You're clear to go, so thank you for joining us, Kirsten.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, this is great. So I'm not sure if you watched the first two groups, and we were talking a lot. We had a question about the desk part. We're going to get to that with you. And but quickly, I mean, you had such a successful career, Canadian champion, of course, Canadian Olympian, and I think, and now you're a coach. And it's so interesting. I wanted to quickly ask you, you've jumped over the boards. What does that feel like, from skater to coach?
Yeah, you know what? It's such a responsibility that I don't think I was as acutely aware of the responsibility of coaches before I became one, especially for these athletes at such an impressionable time in their lives. I really do remember so many things that were said to me when I was a teenager, both positive and negative. So it's so important for me, I think, to understand the value in making sure you're assisting these children's wonderful families in helping them to become excellent humans, not only excellent athletes.
Okay, as Mark begins to wind up his questions, I'm going to get one more in there before he jumps on it. But, you know, as we take a look at you here in performance with Michael Marinaro, what did you love about pair skating? What was it? What makes it so special? You have said to me on air that it's the best discipline in the sport.
Yes, you know what, for me, pair skating is such a huge love of mine still. I feel so passionate about it, so you know I just love to talk about it. And I started pairs at the time relatively late. I was almost 16 years old, and now that's very common and normal. But when I started, it was a little bit late to the game, and so I was really accustomed to skating by myself and competing by myself. And I always felt like when I watched competitions, I really envied the skaters who got to experience these things with someone else, not only the positive things, but also some of the trials as well that are just so unfortunate and common in figure skating sometimes. I loved to fly. I like to try new things, and connecting with a partner during a performance was one of my favorite aspects of figure skating that obviously don't get so much or at all really in the individual disciplines.
So Mark, I'm going to let the dogs out. I'm not going to let you go. Okay, start asking away.
Kirsten.
Here we go.
Kirsten, I'm just genuinely interested and fascinated by your career and also by the discipline, because as we're talking about, it's not one that I did. And I'm interested because for so many reasons, but one of the first questions would be, what kind of encouraged you to make that switch? So many of the skaters, obviously, I don't know how many skaters would start as pair skaters. Perhaps they're in a rink where the coaches are dominant in that, and that would be the reason they would go for it. But most would start as single skaters. What was the reason for you to make the switch from singles to pairs?
You know what, it's kind of a funny story. I had a friend who was a male pair skater, and he was pestering me for years about trying the discipline, and I kept saying no, I really didn't want to. I wanted to be Joanie Rochette, who I know so many of our viewers will be familiar with, such a fantastic human and figure skater in Canada, bronze medalist of the 2010 Olympics. I wanted to be her so badly, so I just kept saying no, but I was so frustrated with this friend of mine who continued to ask me and bug me about it that I thought, you know what, I'll try it once, but I won't like it. And boy, was I wrong. So what a testament to trying things before you decide that you don't like them.
That's interesting. You actually entered it assuming you wouldn't like it, so you really must have enjoyed it.
I really did. You know what? From the second I held somebody else's hand, I was so intrigued by what the possibilities might be. And I think for so many years, people told me because I'm short, I was made for this, or I should be doing this, and I really didn't like that because they were telling me I'd be good at something based on an attribute that I had no control over. So I really tried to push the narrative of, no, I think I'll be good at this because I'm fearless and because I like to try new things and because I'm a team player. And that's what I always go into it with any skater who I'm trying to recruit to the pair discipline. First of all, that you never know what you might like, and secondly, you never know who you might become when you try something different. And so many of these qualities that I learned as a pair skater or had within me that I didn't know, I'm so proud of, and really become the part of the general makeup of who I am as a person.
What did I tell you, Mark? Isn't Kirsten great? She's so open and honest with what she's experienced herself. I just love listening to her because she just says it like it is. And I wanted to, you had said that you didn't think you'd like it, but was it just because people said you should do it? That was the only reason you thought you would like it?
Unfortunately, I am stubborn, one of the qualities that maybe isn't my best. And I think you probably hit the nail on the head there.
Does that attribute of being stubborn, does that kind of serve you as a pair skater, being strong-minded? Because I'm often so fascinated by the women in your sport because they seem just ridiculously resilient as humans. Do you think that kind of ties in with your stubbornness being a proactive part of being a pairs woman?
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible, Mark. You might be right on that. I haven't thought about that avenue too much. I think we so often talk about how pair skaters and pair women are fearless, and an interesting take on that is I wouldn't say fearlessness came naturally to me. I needed to be encouraged by coaches that I trusted to try something once. And once I tried it once, then I thought, okay, I know what this feels like. I think I can do this. And so something that maybe came more naturally to me as a teenager, I think fearlessness was a little bit more in my wheelhouse when I was younger versus when I got a little bit older in the sport. But I don't know, I think stubbornness may have played a role in that. It definitely served me in terms of not believing that I couldn't do something. I truly felt like if I wanted to do something, I could do it, and that served me through my career for sure.
Kirsten, what is the greatest sensation for a woman pair skater? Is it the throw? Is it the lift? So what is like the ultimate thrill?
I guess, you know what, it depends on the skater for sure. I think different strokes for different folks for sure. Different pair girls will love different things, but for me, I loved being lifted and I loved a good throw. If a throw was released well and I was doing everything right in the air, then there was nothing better for me.
And when you land, that speed of just flying across the ice with your arms up, it must be just, and the audience goes crazy, you must just love that.
Absolutely, yeah, and the confidence that comes with that too. There's really great sound that comes with landing a good throw. We have a blade against the ice, and for me, that is just the best feeling.
So let's talk about parents for a second. Were your parents supportive of the change of discipline?
Absolutely. My parents are the best, always have been the best. I think my mom was maybe a little bit scared because when you don't have experience with pair skating and you watch, for example, what we're watching today at the Junior Grand Prix, or this video of Mike and I, it can feel really daunting when you don't understand that every team is started from the grassroots level. We don't do anything. I would never ask my skaters to do anything that I'm not 100% confident that they are capable of doing. And safety is so paramount in this discipline because, of course, the danger level is, or the risk of danger can be much higher if not approached with caution and with education on what the correct progressions will be. So once my parents learned that my coaches knew how to support me in a way that would keep me safe, they were very supportive.
So
they just wanted me to be happy always.
So as a future parent, I'm assuming, would you want your daughter to be in pair skating?
Oh, that's a tough one. You know what? I don't know. My husband also is a retired athlete, and I think for us, we feel like we've spent so much time in the rink, but as you know, I am a coach now. I spend lots of time, so who knows if a child sees mom in the rink, if they'll want to be there, but we won't push it.
Yeah, no, and just
we'll push something in a little bit of a warmer climate, I think.
Yeah. Sorry to ask that question, Mark. Go ahead. Do you have one?
Well, I was going to acknowledge to Kirsten that I, as a parent, don't want my kids to skate, because I think the challenge of then knowing the level of discipline and work ethic required, I would not want to imprint my desires on them, and I think that's really challenging. But I admire all the coaches that manage to teach their kids and have the patience to do
Absolutely,
so.
yeah. I mean, we see one in this event with Zoe Jones and her daughter. I talked to her a little bit about what it's like coaching her daughter, but I've been pretty vocal through my career of the such amazing experiences that I've had, but also some of the deeper struggles. And I think coming from that perspective, it can be hard to want to put that on your child. But I am a proponent of having the proper environment around you can make this experience the greatest of your life. I have had so many incredible experiences. One that we just witnessed, one of my still one of my favorite days of my career, and great coaches can really make the difference. And
Kirsten, as we start to go into the group number 3 in a second, do you remember your junior days?
you know what? I heard on the broadcast earlier, Mark mentioned that he found somewhere that I did do a junior Grand Prix. Yes, vaguely. I had a short-lived junior career. I was not a very good junior pair skater. But I do remember I did one junior Grand Prix in Mexico City. The altitude was so high, but what a unique experience. It's so cool for these athletes to get to compete in places that are a little bit less common for skating events. Once you get to the senior level, we find it's more typical that the events are in more or less the same places year after year, and those are great places. They're fun to visit, but I think this experience of visiting new cities you might not ever visit or travel to otherwise is such a fantastic experience and opportunity for these kids.
Talking about the Junior Grand Prix, how important do you think that this series is in the big picture of a team's career? And they may switch partners, by the time they get up to Senior Worlds, but how important is the experiences gained at this age? There's not a big audience here. It's a completely different environment, but what's your thought on the importance of this junior series?
You know what? I think everything is what you make it, and I believe when you get to the end of your career, if you're lucky, you will have taken every experience and every person that you crossed paths with and used that to help benefit you on your own journey. And you're right, we don't know if these athletes will continue on with their same partners for the entire longevity of their career. It's so difficult to predict that when there are so many factors to being a partner in a sport. But I am a real believer in, if you take every opportunity given to you and just use it to make you the very best athlete that you can be, it will only serve you as you continue your career and go on to great things.
Okay, Mark, I pass the baton over to you. Start the grilling.
Well, actually, I was going to lead into a couple of things. First of all, the fact that you've acknowledged that your junior career wasn't all that epic only serves as greater inspiration for those listening, because Caitlin Osmond last week said a similar kind of thing, that she didn't have huge success on the junior ranks. But I think that's almost more wonderful for those listening to this, because then it's inspiring to hear that any experiences as a junior that aren't brilliant do not deter your potential from having brilliance and excitement as a senior. But your answer to the last question about you make any experience your own kind of maybe negates what I was going to ask you about, Kirsten, about the changes this year with regards to the age requirements in the pairs discipline. So obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but to some listening, there have been changes, and now a man can be up to the age of 23 in the junior pairs, which was previously up to 21. I just wondered, do you think that's a positive, Kirsten, or have you have the mindset that you make your own excitement whatever your age, whether it be you're forced into seniors earlier or not?
Yeah, it's a great question. I should have known you'd hit me with the great questions right away.
Sorry, I should have warned
No,
you.
that's okay. I appreciate it, and I'm sure the listeners do too. I think sometimes, at least through the course of my career, I was lucky to have a really long one, and sometimes decisions are made that don't feel like they necessarily benefit you, and I think, as you mentioned, all you can do is really accept it for what it is and try to make it the best experience for you. In terms of raising the age, I have mixed opinions about it for a couple of reasons. The first being dependent on the age difference of the teams. I don't believe a 23-year-old man should be skating with a very young woman of 14 or 15 years of age. I like to see it as often as possible with a little bit of a closer age gap. That being said, I do totally understand the difficulty of finding the correct partner for your skater, even more so now that I'm a coach. And so I know that there are so many factors that go into finding a good partner and the right fit, and sometimes you find the right fit and the age is just a little bit off. And so with increasing that age for the male skater, we can allow these teams opportunities to compete in a junior event, as you mentioned, not a huge audience, get their feet wet in terms of international competition, and then hopefully go on to a successful senior career. But I think we have to remember that the athletes always need to be safe. We have to have the safety first mentality. Safety of these skaters is so paramount, not only for their skating career, but also for their lives in general as they go on to have human experiences. And so we just trust that the coaching teams make the right choices for the people that are in their care.
Which in turn only serves to reaffirm like my next question for you. You've obviously been so successful as an Olympian yourself, but now as a coach, you mentioned about the human that you're dealing with. That takes precedence primarily the success of the human in their life rather than the success of them as Olympians or as winners of an event. Presumably you're very much of that proviso.
Absolutely, yeah. I heard something so great that you both said when you were commentating an event that Stephanie Valois had a team at, and she mentioned how a similar mindset about how you try to help the athlete to become the best human they can be, and in turn that will help them to be the best athlete they can be as well. And I really do believe that positive mental health and a happy human makes for a better athlete and a healthier athlete. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves of the differences in who these people are. And a big learning curve for me has been understanding that not everybody responds to situations in a way that I would have responded or that I feel is necessarily the most appropriate. But different people require different things and make different choices. And it's my job to support them and help them along the best avenue that I feel would be suitable for who they are and what their goals are. But we are all so different that sometimes I have to check myself when I'm using a coaching technique that maybe isn't as effective for the particular athlete I'm working with.
Sorry, Ted, I'm taking over here, but I just wanted to add, that's really fascinating because I've had experiences as a coach where I've had a skater who's from a different culture, different family setup, who would actively actually want me to be not something that I would necessarily want to be, and yet that's a real juxtaposition in the mindset of the coach. Okay, the athlete wants a harsher, more strict, more aggressive approach, but do you for the coach, do you then sit comfortable with, I'm happy with my philosophy of being?
Yeah, somebody who I really trust told me that if I lead with my values, I will never have regrets. And this is something that has been really important for me because it's so hard to know if you're doing the right thing, especially as an inexperienced coach. I'm an experienced athlete. I am not an experienced coach, and I don't pretend to be one. So I want to learn from as many people as I can, and leading with values has been important.
Wow. That is powerful, and we'll finish on that as we enter group number 3 in the pairs. Kirsten, thank you for all that input, and I'm sure our viewers were loving that information. Mark, take it over.
Well, wonderful to see Irina Napolitano and Edoardo Comi from Italy. He was attacked in Monzo after the World Junior Championships last year, and they were off the ice for 3 months. Great to see Irina and Edoardo return to the Junior Grand Prix representing Italy. Irina Napolitano and Edoardo Comi, great to see them back in competition at the Junior Grand Prix. You can see, perhaps, Kirsten, though, that the reaction to the performance is indication that it wasn't as is in practice.
Yeah, I think you're right. There were some great things in that performance as well, but they will definitely be disappointed by that lift. Likely not a usual occurrence for them, as sometimes happens when adrenaline gets introduced at competition. Nerves are a little more present. Here, though, nice throw triple sow, has to touch down and turn out slightly, so that will receive minus GOE. Here, their group 4 lift, you see a change of position. Oh dear. Slight misstep there moving forward, and then gets really pulled into his turns, which is not the control that you'd like. We see his lifting arm outside of his center of gravity in his body, and he's not able to keep her in the air. Nice double axel. After that, lift will be no value, so that will be a big hit to their score in this short program. Here we see the back outside death spiral. The woman has to get her head below her supporting knee. I believe she did that, perhaps not with the best quality that we will see in this event, but this is a very difficult death spiral to have counted. We want to always see points on the board. Of course, this is a Junior Grand Prix, so we hope to always get all of our elements counted, but this death spiral is especially difficult.
Yeah, that lift as well, that's about 5 points for a lift. For, assuming it was level 4, that'd be about 5 points taken off whatever this score is.
Well, the personal best is 49.76. And the short program score here is 42.44. And that'll put Irina and Eduardo currently into 5th place. There is a look at your top 5 teams.
Them, Christina Mauri, sorry, Ted.
No.
Longtime coach of Nicole Della Monica and Matteo Guarise, very experienced.
And from one experienced coaching team to another, as Bruno Marcotte encourages his students, Jasmine Desrochers and Kieran Thrasher, to the ice. They were 2nd in Riga, twice 3rd last year on the Junior Grand Prix. Can they take the title in Ankara? Well, Jasmine Desrochers and Regnier and Thrasher won the short program at their first Junior Grand Prix in Riga, and it looks like they could be on target to do the same here. You enjoy, Kirsten?
What an incredible program that was. I know the three of us were enjoying it when the mics were off and commenting on how the warm-up was not necessarily preferable for this team. We saw a few falls on the throws in the warm-up, and so obviously not what they were hoping for to get their feet under them, but what a testament to that is just what a warm-up is. Just an opportunity to get your feet under you, to feel the ice, to feel the environment, sometimes see the different lights, and what competitors to do such an incredible short program after that.
Well, let's take a look.
I love the choreography. I was commenting on how this team really continues to gel together and skate as one. Here, the triple twist, beautiful height. Kieran going for the arms down feature after he throws Jasmine. Side by side double axels, well done. Nice and close together. Here, their group 4 lift. As we know, group 4 means hand to hand. You see how Kieran is lifting Jasmine on her hands. Change of position, one arm for 2 revolutions, and there's your dismount. And this, what gave them so much trouble in the warm-up, I think we see a slight 2-foot. It's all right. Considering the circumstances today, I think this is a huge win. And a beautiful position here in this backward outside death spiral. I heard you talking earlier in the broadcast before I joined about the tension required between the two skaters. That is why this element is so difficult. It can be hard to generate that pull to keep the momentum going. That is why it becomes increasingly difficult as you continue to make your revolutions as a team. Great skate.
Yeah, really nice, especially after that warm-up, pull it together. But that's part of the learning process. When things don't go well in the warm-up, how do you know, regain confidence in the competition? And they did here with a 59.41, season's best, and a smile and a hug, and a little bit of a nod from Bruno, and that'll put them into first place by a good 4 points. And there you go, almost 5. Well done.
Goal for this team, obviously, to qualify again for the Grand Prix final. Great start.
And now to the second team representing Slovakia, 16-year-old Nikola Sitkova and 19-year-old Oliver Kubacak. And this team will skate to the Hosier track, Take Me to Church. Nigela Sitkova and Oliver Kubacak representing Slovakia at the start of a very busy 2 weeks for these young skaters. They will compete again in Gdansk next week, so this is just the start of a very busy series of events.
Yeah, that's right. And though they're two events obviously just a week apart, you can learn so much from a competition and really make more changes than you might think in that week's time. Obviously nothing too crazy technically or technical wise, but you can learn a lot to help you for the next week for sure. Here, starting with their side-by-side double axels. Obviously not the success they were hoping for. That will be under-rotated in the system as well, if not downgraded. There, a double twist, nice height. Really good basics for an eventual triple. Here, their group 4 lift. There's the entry. Change of position. They are going for the one-hand feature, but I don't know if they will have been awarded it by the technical panel. Here, the backward outside death spiral, the woman on a backward outside edge. Both man and woman have to be in a low position for a whole revolution to get more than a base level on this element. I don't know if they achieved that here, but certainly a good starting point. They'll want to keep working on the tension and pull within one another and making sure their positions are nice and low. For the man, that means that his glutes are not higher than his knee of his anchored foot with a stretched arm that's holding the woman. And for the woman, her head needs to be below her skating knee, as we mentioned. All progressions moving forward as they continue to become the team that they will become.
44.94 is their personal best. They're going to fall short of that on this day. 37.25 for Nicolas and Oliver, and that will put them currently into 8th place. Well, if you want to get any questions in for Kirsten, you better send it now because this is our last warm-up coming up. So otherwise, Mark will control. But, you know, I'm sure he has more. As we take a look at the start order for group number 4. Talk a little bit about the warm-up for pairs. Now, we've mentioned this in the past that the most dangerous one is not the pairs. It is the dance, of course. But you feel very comfortable in the pairs warm-up, Kirsten, and why?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely takes practice for sure. Many, many years of doing pair warm-ups can help you to feel comfortable, as with anything in life. But what's nice about pairs is the setups are usually quite long. You can usually see a twist coming. Usually it comes from the corner and goes diagonal across the ice, sometimes straight. But you'll see when a team is coming and what they're anticipating completing element-wise, and that can help these teams ensure that they give the appropriate amount of space and respect. Respect is so important when there's such a element of danger in this discipline of figure skating, and I find the culture of pair skating usually is quite respectful, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, Kirsten, you speak so brilliantly. I love how articulate you are. I'm sure there were occasions when there'd be some teams where you'd think, oh, this might be a more challenging warm-up than others, but equally, we've just watched some of your best performances, and it might have been harder when your choreography got more intense, because some of your throws took off down ice as opposed to across ice, so perhaps it would have been, as teams get better, more senior, more difficult transitions, it might have been harder to navigate some of the warm-up because it wasn't as anticipated.
Absolutely, you're right. Yeah, once you start flipping upside down before you're going into throws and lifts and death spirals and all that good stuff, it can be harder to have your eyes on the teams around you because, of course, you're facing every which way, but obviously there's 2 people per team who are looking out and making sure they and their partners are keeping safe. And I think, as you mentioned, as you continue to progress, your programs get more difficult, but you also get more experienced at competing and doing warm-ups with teams. There are only ever a maximum of 4 teams out on the ice for warm-up, so there are 8 bodies out there, not too unmanageable for sure. And sometimes, though, when there's a team that skates the other way, it can definitely pose a challenge, though I did not experience that since about the year 2014. Maybe a few years after.
Ted, sorry, Ted. As you know, I'll jump in
go ahead.
at any opportunity. But I'm interested because it's fascinating, Kirsten, to hear that you're now coaching, and I loved how beautifully you spoke about the development of the humans and the athletes. If we think about your discipline and your sport and the development of it, where do you see it going? Because I think many would acknowledge that the pairs discipline perhaps seemed most adversely affected by COVID, certainly in the junior ranks. Do you think that over the next couple of Olympic cycles that throw quads will return? Because that was something we had side-by-side triple lutzes appearing more commonly, and throw quads perhaps becoming a bit more common. Do you think that will return, or do you think it's unhealthy?
You know what, I don't necessarily think that it's unhealthy if it is, if the progressions are correct and it is taught properly. I witnessed it with Megan Duhamel and Eric Radford when I was training. I saw the way that they so carefully approached training the quad. They had already mastered it by the time I started training with them, but I did get to see it on a day in and day out basis. The reason why I don't know that it will become popular again or done very frequently is because it's just not worth enough. It's not worth enough points for it to be worth the risk of the teams facing injuries, and also the mental toughness and difficulty that is required to make yourself turn 4 times in the air and try to land on such a thin piece of metal. I really do commend every skater who has ever even attempted one, not to mention mastered it. But as I mentioned, right now I just don't believe it's worth enough to be worth the risk.
That's an interesting point, because I know there was some debate recently about the quad axle and the value of the quad axle because it hadn't been done before. It'd be interesting almost to talk back to those that have done throw quads in pairs and whether or not they would agree that the value of it needs to be increased to justify it. Should that be what you as a passionate pair skater think would enhance the sport's global appeal?
I think absolutely it would enhance the global appeal. My hope would always be that enhancing the global appeal would not be the driving factor in having your team try it or train it or even start to think about it, right? I think you have to know your skater and understand that they are physically and mentally capable of achieving such a feat, and then again take the progressions so carefully. And I do believe I err as a new coach on the side of too cautious. Sometimes when I allow my teams to do something new and they come close to mastering it right away, I think, oh shoot, I probably should have let them try that a little bit sooner. But as I am learning with them, I just want to make sure that they're always safe. But when we see experienced coaching teams working with pair skaters, they absolutely know what their skaters are capable of. I think they just need to ensure that it would be worth even the points that it is gained. I remember when Vanessa James and Morgan Cypre would try it, but perhaps 2-foot it or get a slight minus, and they could have achieved the same or almost more points doing cleanly done throw triple Salchow. And so when that's the case, you have to really think about what you're doing this for. I just want to mention, I know we're asking questions, but we've seen at the boards in this warm-up Stefania Berton, who is an Olympian pair skater. We see here Christopher Knierim, who works with his wife, Alexa Knierim, and also Olympian Timothy Leduc. We're seeing so many former pair skaters coaching in this event, and it's so nice to see them continue their legacy and also to, I'm sure, continue to encourage the culture of pair skating being a really healthy place to be. And that makes me feel really happy.
Okay. Well done, Mark. Well done, Kirsten.
It went fast.
I've got so much more. We need a 12-minute warm-up.
Well, when you're talking about your passions, it does tend to go quickly, that's for sure. Mark, take it away.
So, as Kirsten mentioned, taught by former world champions Chris and Alexa Knierim, Addison McDanold and Aaron Felberbaum take to the ice, and this is their first ever Junior Grand Prix experience. Well, that has to be just the most delightful reaction to the conclusion of our short program from Addison McDonald and Ehrhard and Felberbaum, a team that teamed up just in May of this year. So not even barely months, but weeks. So I'm sure, Kirsten, that their experience here, great to see their competitors cheering them on, but their experience here will be just a roller coaster of emotions.
Absolutely. I just love to see that kind of response from athletes. We saw in the tech box in the corner that they will receive some minus GOEs for their great execution for their elements today. Here, their double twist. But you're right, just 4.5 months skating together. Addison's first experience into pairs, their first international, as you mentioned, you really can't ask for a lot more than that from this team. What a bright future they'll have here. Their Group 4 lift. Change of position. Addison grabs her blade. One arm by Aaron. The tech panel will make sure that he was cleanly on one arm for 2 full revolutions of that lift. I was talking to one of their coaches, Alexa Knierim, yesterday, and she mentioned they are so new and they're enjoying all these experiences. Their goals are definitely to start introducing throw triples and triple twist, but what great basics they have in their technical ability already. They have a great coaching team to help them get there. And it's nice to see this genuine reaction. There, the back outside death spiral, probably just in at a base level. I don't have the ability to see that from my screen. We'll see what the technical panel says, but great program.
Well, you know your stuff, Kirsten. You were right. It's come through as a base.
Yeah, nothing major, no major errors in there. Great start to their international career together.
Well, 39.46 for the short program, and that'll put Addison and Aaron currently in 8th place. But nevertheless, successful start to their junior Grand Prix career after just 4 months together. And they're coming off this experience probably on a high and say, I want more of this. Let's get back to work.
And now to the second of the 2 French pair teams competing in Ankara. So a Junior Grand Prix debut of the short program complete for Lise Regnier and Nandrot. And they look happy. You impressed, Kirsten?
Yeah, it was a pretty good skate for them. I think it's great to see this team come out and skate just a few skaters after the Canadian team of Jasmine Desrochers and Regnier and Thrasher. I think this team has great technical ability, but right now their development is at just a little bit of a more simple stage than we've seen, and I like that from an audience perspective because we really get to see the difference in ability and the difference in progression. What these teams consider success changes from team to team to team, as it should. They all have different goals and different paths and different journeys. I thought this was interesting. Lift goes up, he's turning the other way. You'll notice that's the opposite direction, then goes in to turn counterclockwise, change of position, foot grab, that's a difficult feature, and an exit. So they're going for a level 4 lift, staying on 2 hands the entire time, utilizing that turn the other way feature. Here, the backward outside death spiral gets into a nice position from both athletes, but not quite long enough. It will probably go into the system or stay in the system as a base level.
Yeah.
Here, they're side by side change combination spin. You saw the rolling 3 turns entering into that spin. That's a difficult feature, increasing the level that they will achieve should the technical panel award it. And pretty nicely done. Combination spins done side by side are deceivingly difficult, at least for me.
Well, it must be the least, if you were to case study all the 7 elements in a pair short program, it probably is the least likely to get a positive GOE, even across seniors too.
Absolutely, it's incredibly difficult to maintain the same speed as your partner as you're changing positions, especially sometimes when you're blind. If your difficult variation has your head down, it can be hard. You just kind of have to step at the same time and hope for the best.
Short program score 38.11 for Lisa and Luca. They look pretty happy with that, and that'll put this team currently in the 9th place. See, everybody, as Kirsten said, everybody has different goals, and their goals obviously reached here by the reaction, and they're early on in their career and stages of development. Mark?
And now we turn to 13-year-old Elizabeth Hansen and 20-year-old William Church, a team fulfilling the criteria of a maximum 7-year age gap between the couple. And they, another team so new, not just to this level of competition, but to each other, having teamed up in March of this year. I think that was probably one of the most choreographed short programs that we've seen of the event. Elizabeth Hansen and William Church. She has just started the pairs discipline and so new to each other. And how wonderful to see. Well, there's an Olympic champion there cheering them on. So many amazing moments for them already in their experience in Ankara.
How fun was that? I'm loving seeing these beautiful reactions of such happy skaters at the end of their program. It's so great. You're right. I loved this choreography. I thought it really played to their strengths. I don't know them, but it was effective for me from a viewer perspective.
No, what happened?
I spoke to their coach, Stefania, a little bit yesterday, and she mentioned to me that they are so new. Elizabeth only started skating pairs in March, so really so new to the discipline.
Amazing.
They just want to continue to build on the technical base that they have to continue growing as a team. What a great goal for them. Nice lift here, very safe. Group 4, hand-to-hand, change of position. Change of position again, difficult variation, and an exit. Technical panel will be watching to make sure Elizabeth was in her difficult variation for a full revolution. There, a nice third double Salchow. I'd love to see a beautiful stretch on that landing. This was maybe the highlight of the short program for me. Beautiful position in this backward outside death spiral. And I think at the time it was in at a level 2. You'll have to tell me what it came out as at the end of the day.
At a 2. No, it stays in as a 2.
Which is fantastic. We've seen a lot of backward outside death spirals in at a base level, which is great. It's great to get points on the table and get it counted. They're switching spots. But so fantastic for this team to already have a level 2 backward outside death spiral.
You have to love that expression at the end, how much fun that was, relatively new team, of course, but that's so exciting, and they don't have a personal best or a season's best. It's first time out. We'll take a look at
So fun
their
to watch.
scores right now. From the short program, 47.26, and they're going, that's pretty good. We're okay with that. It's a great start. High fives all around. There you go,
That's
Grau.
really nice to
Yeah. That's so great about the juniors. It's so raw and real. That's awesome. One team to come. There they are.
And this, a team that was just off the podium. They were in 5th place in Ostrava at their first Junior Grand Prix this season. And they, like so many that we have seen in this event today, were delighted with some of the skates that they had in the Czech Republic. They'll be hoping for more joyful performance here for Polina, Polman, and Gabriel Renoldi. Well, we have been fortunate enough to see lots of joyful skaters at the end of their short programs today in Ankara. Unfortunately, Polina, Polman and Renoldi not having the same skate that they had en route to a third place after the short program that they achieved in Ostrava. A difficult day, Kirsten, for this team.
Yeah, what a bummer for them. And with music that is so joyful and happy, especially the second part of it, it doesn't quite have the same effect when you have a disappointing performance. Obviously, so many good qualities with this team. We saw such a great short program from them at their last Junior Grand Prix competition, highlighted by a beautiful throw triple Salchow. Not today. Here, though, nice triple twist, a little bit of a low catch. They will not receive the catch feature on that. Nice double axel, a little bit far apart. Would love to see them get closer together, but this, oh man. We just saw her totally lose her back left inside edge. That throw triple Salchow, if done with a base level upgrade of execution, would be 4.4 points. So they will receive 0 points today. It will be a big hit on their score. Nice recovery with this lift though. And here the back outside death spiral. Looking to be down in a low position for a full revolution. I'm not sure if they did that. The technical panel will look at it. Not an indication today of what this team is capable of, but unfortunately sometimes that happens at competition. Not all days are good. They will learn so much more today than they learned last Grand Prix when they did a beautiful short program. Sitting there in the kiss and cry with Coach Luca De Mate, a part of a fantastic coaching team in Bergamo with an international pair school. They will have tons of excellent training mates to look up to. Great coaching team to help them through this, and they always have an opportunity tomorrow to come back strong.
Yeah, and for them, presumably being around the likes of those Italian great teams, it's going to help to cushion the blow like this, because you return to an environment where there's no time to wallow because everybody else will be skating around, focused on the next job in hand. So hopefully that will be a great benefit to them, if not before then, because obviously they still have free skate to come. Yeah.
You know, I always wonder when I see the disappointment if they know or when they know what went wrong, as opposed to, because that's an analytical thought process, as opposed to the emotional process, which is happening right now, of course, in the kiss and cry. But if they knew what the mistake was, they'd come off the ice and just darn it. But it looks on Polina's face like it's a little frustrating. She might be wondering, well, what happened there? What did we do wrong? Or is it an easy fix? Or was I in the moment? You know, we'll find out. Let's take a look at the short program scores. 40.01, and that will put Polina Gabriel currently into 9th place. That's a tough score for sure. As we take a look at the leaderboard, and Desrochers and Thrasher from Canada had a brilliant short program, and they're in first place by around 5 points. And they're going to want to fight back to make sure that they finish this competition not like the last, where they fell down a little bit in the free program. Put two good programs together as we take a look at the final standings. Kirsten, your final comments.
What a great event. I was so happy to be here and to chat with both of you about pair skating. Mark, I'm such a huge fan. Obviously, Ted, I'm a fan of you too, but I've never gotten to work with you, Mark, and that was so fun. I thought it was a great event.
So good.
I wasn't obviously with you for the first half, but obviously great skate from American team of Olivia Flores and Luke Wang. And I also wanted to give a mention to the Japanese team, who did what I believe is their first throw triple Salchow in the short program. I don't believe we saw that from them at their first Grand Prix. No. So obviously athletes moving up, pushing themselves with the guidance and help of their coaching team.
So Kirsten, do you have a must-watch moment?
Now, I knew you were going to ask me this question. I'm still not prepared. Must watch. You mean must watch on the Junior Grand Prix?
Must watch out of this. Must watch out of this event, or any of the other out of this particular event here, whether it's in pairs or dance or singles. You know, we're interested in your must watch moment. So, think about that.
Well, you know what? I think it's always a little bit of cliche choice to pick the leader of the event, but I will say I think the short program today from Jasmine Desrochers and Kieran Thrasher really was special. And I think even potentially a breakthrough performance for them, hopefully gaining them some confidence to come back with tomorrow. And so I will definitely say you should absolutely watch that. But I'm such a proponent of the audience really taking in all levels at every competition, because it really does indicate the different progressions that we see. And sometimes, dependent on who we're watching, we can see how difficult the pair discipline is. Some of the very best teams make it look so easy, and I don't mean that to be critical. I actually think it's important for the audience to see the steps that teams take to get to the very top level, obviously on the Junior Grand Prix and also Senior. So I think there's something we can learn and take in from all teams. On the Junior Grand Prix, all deserve our respect and all deserve a watch, in my opinion. Such a lame answer, I know, but there it is.
Yeah, it's a little politician-like, but well done, though. Well, Kirsten, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck with your teams this year. Hopefully, some of your teams will watch the Junior Grand Prix on this day. We thank you for your expertise, all that you're doing in pair skating, and the support of healthy, happy communities in the ice rinks around our country, around Canada. Thank you so much for that. And Mark, thank you as well. With the men's short program coming up in just about 25 minutes from now, that is going to be 23 skaters in that event, and there's some really wonderful male skaters in the short program, but we don't know what's going to happen. Only one of the entries actually has points at this point in the competition, so we'll see. There could be some new champions and some new medal winners coming up in this competition, so make sure you stay with us for that. For all of us here at the ISU, for Kirsten Moore-Towers, Mark Hanratty, I'm Ted Barton. Thank you for watching. Up next, the men's short.